Federal agency known as the National Mediation Board that oversees all elections in the airline industry. And they decide who gets to vote in any particular election. The way they decide it is by the unit they describe as a craft or class. In other contexts, you're familiar with the term bargaining unit, but the NMB says the vote as to which union will represent a group of employees will be determined by craft or class. And why does the federal government divide these elections by craft or class? It's because the federal government has determined that each of the members of these craft or classes share a mutuality of interest. Now, they share a mutuality of interest, that those outside that craft or class have different interests. So the federal government says we're not going to let flight attendants vote with pilots because they don't share the same interests. We're not going to let storekeepers vote with baggage handlers because they do not share the same interests. Mechanics and related are an identified craft or class by the federal government because according to the federal agency, mechanics and related have a mutuality of interest not shared by baggage handlers, not shared by stores keepers, not shared by passenger service agents, not shared by dispatchers. Mechanics and related vote alone. Now, ALPA takes a cue from this, and they say, we're not looking to maximize revenue for the Airline Pilots Association. The federal government has determined that pilots are a craft or class, and we are going to limit ourselves to pilots. It didn't always used to be that way. Through the 1950s, ALPA represented flight attendants. And they quickly woke up to the fact that if we keep bringing flight attendants in, we'll become a minority within our own union. And we will not control our own fate. And the strength of numbers that you might derive from having flight attendants is going to be diluted by our loss of control over our future. But the poor mechanics and related, by and large, have been represented by groups that have had a reverse psychology, a reverse ideology, to maximize dues revenue. So whether it was the TWU or the IAM or the Teamsters, bring them all in until the mechanics on property after property were a minority within their own union. And what's the practical effect of that, right? There are many practical effects. One is just in terms of attitude of where resources go. I have been face to face with IAM representatives who have said, so what if you have an A&P license? I have a driver's license. A license is a license is a license.